kid that deserves to have his career finish on the field. It would be such a shame to have Eric Dungey standing on the sideline in a warm-up watching his team finish out their season.
And they'd be nowhere near this point. Nowhere near without him and his mentality, just his competitive grit.
Syracuse won the toss and deferred their option to the second half. So here's Michael Walker to start off today's game, and he is a dangerous return man. And he gets to the sideline. Across the 50 before he's finally brought down at the Syracuse 44-yard line. So great field position for Anthony Brown, who has started every game this season, Brock, but has not finished every game. Most notably, a couple of games ago, very disappointing to get hurt early against Clemson when game day was here in Chestnut Hill and not be able to finish that game.
Making his 22nd start, a catastrophic knee injury ended last season for him. Move the chains. Those are the words in Steve Addazio's ears to him all week long. Third down, situational football. Keep the chains moving today.
It helps when you've got big number 2 to hand the football to. And there is Dillon blasting forward for 4, maybe 5 yards on first down. Ryan Guthrie made the stop for Syracuse.
Couple tempo teams, no huddle throughout, but you will see a mix of formations, and I think you'll see a heavy dose of number 2 and the numbers committed defensively to try to stop them.
Dillon again.
Jeez. Look at that surge.
First down.
My goodness gracious, look at just the surge off the ball. A Syracuse defensive line without Kendall Coleman, without Josh Black, going to just rotate in about 6 to 8 guys. That's all they have available on that defensive line.
Last year, BC beat Syracuse at the Dome 42-14. They ran for 333 yards in that game, and Dillon had 193 of his own. This time he tries to get to the outside, and he is brought down behind the line by Ryan Guthrie. As we check our impact players, brought to you by Jared.
Yeah, 35+ carries. I think that's realistic for A.J. Dillon today. Running behind that right guard, Chris Lindstrom making his 47th start. Alton Robinson at end is the best player for Syracuse with 9 sacks. And Evan Foster, a little strong safety, will be all around the line of scrimmage today, trying to be the extra unblocked Orange defender.
A rollout for Brown. And he finds one of the 6 tight ends that will play a fair amount today. And Cora Badrizi, he picks up about 3, so it will be 3rd down and 7 for a BC offense that at times this year has struggled mightily on 3rd down.
115th out of 129. And for Anthony, this is the down and distance where he'll win or lose this game today. And his ability to get through his progressions and to use his legs, just like his counterpart, Mr. Dungey, does in this down and distance.
Little zone read to Travis Levy. And now what do you do if you're Boston College? They are to the 27-yard line. It is 4th down and 3. And admittedly, the head coach, Steve Addazio, has no confidence in his kicking game.
Well, what you do is you go for it. And that's what that last call was going to tell you anyway. This will now be the 29th attempt on 4th down for the Eagles. They've attempted, Lichtenberg, just 7 field goals all season long.
Brown to throw for it. He's going to try and run for it, and he's going to get it and more. Boston College starts the game with a 4th down conversion, and they are in the red zone.
And he needs to do more of this. This is exactly what they've asked of him. There were 3 or 4 of those occasions last week down in Tallahassee that they get win number 8. If he does just that, just has the awareness in the field for what's going on around him, and he's got more than enough athleticism to scramble for 1st downs.
Dillon with a stiff arm. No explosive quality to Dillon as he tries to get to the sideline, and he lost about 3. Evan Foster made the stop.
Yeah, and that's back-to-back runs to the outside and the perimeter. Once that ball goes left to right, advantage Syracuse, and look at the Orange go for that left ankle. That's not dirty, that's not cheap. A.J. Dillon has had that battle since week 4 this season, and you have seen everybody go low. His feet stop the minute they go after those ankles.
Four-man rush, crossing route. They may be back to the original line of scrimmage to C.J. Lewis. He picked up about 3, so it will be 3rd down and 10.
And you saw the last 3rd down call, about 3rd and 7, the willingness to run the football. This is no gimme field goal situation either. The 11-yard line a week ago at Florida State, they missed a field goal. I think a lot of this approach could be 4-down territory for OC Mr. Leffler.
Brown with a bullet to the end zone, incomplete. Now it's 4th down and 10. Tommy Sweeney was the intended receiver, so now it will be a field goal try with Colton Lichtenberg. He thought once, Steve Adazio said, he thought once he got inside the 20-yard line, you are now at least in the comfort zone. Where it was 4th down and long, he would feel like his field goal kickers could handle this distance. This one from 33 to get BC on the board. And he hooks it well left. Well, that's why you're going for it on 4th down when you're Boston College, because that kicking game has left them high and dry more than once this season.
Yeah, it's a total mess. And as you're trying to get your 8th win, to really take that next step as a program, and you can't execute these gimmies, that's a tough day.
Offense for the first time. And what every Syracuse fan wanted to see with certainty is their senior quarterback on the field, and good for Eric Dungey being able to get out there. And they're going to start the game with a quarterback run. I guess he's healthy as he is ridden out of bounds. A gain of 4. Out close to the 24-yard line. Lucas Dennis made the stop, but Eric Dungey, who left the game against Notre Dame, Brock with the back injury, and reportedly had to be helped to the bus, able to free that back up enough to play this week. This one to Mo Neal. He picks up 2.
Yeah, and his ability to run. You saw it on that 1st down run. And you're going to see BC, they may have to make a little schematic adjustment. Their ends, they thought they were going to get DeVito today, are going to crash into that inside run. They may have to have a little bit more awareness with number 2 and his ability, the second leading rusher for Syracuse.
Blitz on 3rd down. Underneath, right at the 1st down line to gain is Sean Riley. And it looks like he's a foot short. Was spun back by Max Richardson. It is 4th down and a half yard. And now let's see what Syracuse decides to do. They're going to go for it from inside their own 30-yard line.
Why not? You ever talked to Dino Babers?
All right. 4th and a foot. They get Boston College to jump. There's the flag. It's a free play. They'll go down the sideline for Johnson and drop it in. Sherrod Johnson. Right down the boundary on 4th down and a free play.
Number 38. Penalties decline. Go to the play. 1st down.
You know what that is? That is, I want to get the taste of last week's loss out of all of our mouths. It's a senior quarterback that you trust so doggone much. It's got the ability to use his cadence. That may have just been a cadence exercise, Bob, where they would not have gotten him to jump. They may have punted the ball, but knowing that they could get a hyper-aggressive defense to jump off sides and then to execute a perfectly thrown fade ball. This is what the Orange were missing a week ago.
Dungey, jump pass to the edge. Hakeem Johnson has another 1st down.
Yeah, and you don't always have to use your voice. You can use that clap. And clearly you see Boston College into the neutral zone and the awareness to throw it down the field.
This time the pocket collapses and Boston College is able to get a tackle for loss as Ray Smith came through. So now it will be 2nd down and long just inside the BC 30-yard line. And now an officials conference.
Previous play was a 1st down ruling on the field. The next play was 2nd down. We'll have 2nd down and 11.
I think what our officials meant to say was the little jump pass out to the edge to Hakeem Johnson was a 1st down gain. That was 1st down. This is 2nd down. And I guess they are still trying to make sure they've got the sticks set correctly.
We'll have 2nd down and 12 at the 29-yard line. 2nd down and 12. The clock will start on my ready.
Here we go. Now Syracuse is using this opportunity to get a free timeout as their entire offense has gone and surrounded Dino Babers as if a timeout was called. No timeout was called because the clock's running. And it looks like they're going to set Dungey up in an empty backfield 5 wide on 2nd down and 12.
Loves the vertical game. If that box count is light, he also loves to run.
Here comes a blitz. Dungey avoids a sack. He's going to take a shot to the pylon. jump ball in the end zone, and it's broken out. Lucas Dennis knocked it away from Jamal Custis, and now it will be 3rd down and 12.
And that is Lucas Dennis wearing the number 31 today. Had a pick in this game, had 7 picks a year ago, and he better get ready. He and these corners on the outside, because you will see vertical shots. You will see Eric Dungey give his guys, especially Custis, his big receiver, those one-on-one opportunities.
It's another BC blitz. Dungey floating in the pocket. He's got some room to run, and he will just buy some room for the field goal group. As Isaiah McDuffie bounced him out at the 26-yard line. He picked up a couple. So it will be 4th down and long for Syracuse. Now conversely, Boston College has kicking trouble. Syracuse has none.
Watch the middle of the field here. Syracuse may have gotten away right there. Typically when you see a defender get pulled to the ground, and that time was Aaron Service, the center. These referees will call it. That time they let it go.
Andre Schmidt might win the Groza Award. He has been as good as any kicker in America this season from 44. How about that?
What'd you say, bro?
That was the announcer jinx to perfection. That might be the ugliest kick that Andre Schmidt has had. That was
stuff, huh?
Trying to inspire. 1st and 10 BC at their own 26-yard line. A.J. Dillon finds a cutback lane and breaks a tackle. Out to the 43-yard line. Maybe the 44. He picked up 17.
This group's going to be at their best running between the tackles today. Look at the second play of this game. Look at that surge, that A gap today. You hear about the line of scrimmage or winning it in the trenches. To me, it's the A gap trench. It's right there between the center and guard, and you can see AJ. That's been a common sight, unfortunately, for BC, just trying to limp through that aggravating ankle injury.
Well, they still get that surge up front with Travis Levy. He picks up 5 yards, and our first chance on this Thanksgiving weekend to say hi to Adnan.
All right, Bob and Susan, how we doing? Update first on Michigan, Ohio State. Buckeyes have won 13 of the last 4 meetings. And right out of the gate, Dwayne Haskins and Chris Olave, Ohio State 37-1 on the opening drive TDs under Urban Meyer. Bob?
Adnan, Boston College, as it's 2nd down and 5, as both teams here have missed field goals to start. Brown back to throw. And gets out of the pocket. Up the sideline. Great throw on the run to Chris Garrison. A 1st down to the Syracuse 35. Picked up 17 more.
The more that I watch Anthony play, the more of this I just want to see. He has got this tool set. It is why this staff, Scott Loeffler and crew, really are excited about his next few years. He's just got to continue to grow and gain in confidence and realize he can do that and keep plays alive.
Straight ahead run for Levy. Travis Levy is thought of as more the 3rd down back for Boston College, but he picked up 3 there. And now A.J. Dillon is able to check back in.
And to me, this is the plan. You should run 2 plays today. You should run between the tackles and then quick game. You know, I think I've told this story before with the Indianapolis Colts one time against the Dallas Cowboys. That is all we ran for 28 consecutive plays. A check with me of either inside zone or quick game.
Play action. Brown has all day. And this time his intended receiver, Kobe White, fell down. So it will now be 3rd down and 6.
And I understand there's lots of other plays and some really intricate play action pass and tight ends and everything else you do, especially to set the mindset early in this one. You got to run right at this Syracuse crew. They're beat up defensively. They're down 2 of their top 5 defensive linemen. You got to commit to that, in my opinion.
Dillon turns the corner. 1st down and more. Inside the 15-yard line before he's brought down. And he is only a sophomore, so he has at least 1 more season to do this for Boston College.
What a tremendous job out on the perimeter there. The big left tackle. That was Aaron Montero getting out in front of Dillon there, setting up the block and setting the edge.
Dillon straight ahead. Pounds out about 3 yards.
Yeah, that may not look like much, 3 or 4 yards on 1st down, but for a group that struggles, especially now, and you saw it on that first field goal attempt, staying on schedule for Scott Loeffler, and just that patience on early downs to take 3 or 4 yards. That is a win, and those body blows will only pay dividends over the course of the game.
Sprint out to the right for Anthony Brown. Across his body, inside the 5-yard line. Ben Glines. 1st and goal, down to about the 2.5.
Really nice job. You've seen this now a few times from the Eagles of really flooding that field, getting that first flat defender on those play-action passes stretched so you can come in right behind him with the secondary outlet.
Wasting no time with the true freshman David Bailey. And he is turned back at the 2-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Christopher Frederick came up from his cornerback spot and helped on run support. Now Dillon back in. A.J. Dillon, one of 10 semifinalists for the Doak Walker Award. Lines up behind Ray Martin as a fullback. Looking for his 11th rushing touchdown of the season, and he simply stumbled as he got the quarterback exchange. So that played dead on arrival. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, sometimes you see the feet get tangled with the quarterback. Yeah, it does. You can see he just nicks A.J. Dillon there as he tries to cut and find that hole. It's 4-down territory regardless.
Roll out for Anthony Brown. Looking for the throw back to the tight end. And it's there for the touchdown. Jake Bird was able to slip off the line and get open for a 3-yard score.
It's a really good job on any of these throwback plays. You've got to be so patient. You've almost got to stumble and bumble, and that's exactly what happens here, to work through that junk. And you can see as he falls to the ground there, look at, he's stumbling, he's bumbling, the eyes get lost. And that's an easy pitch and catch for a much-needed 6 for BC.
Lichtenberg makes it 7. The 17th touchdown pass of the season for Anthony Brown. And misdirection, Brock, worked to perfection.
And I think Mr. Adazio liked the 7 much more than trying for 3.
Seems to be the ongoing theme with the Titans. Can they keep Marcus Mariota upright and on the field? And will he be healthy enough to get through the rest of this season? Sean Riley will let this one go. Adnan.
All right, Bob, a couple updates here for you. We'll let you know what's happening with regards to Georgia Tech and Georgia. They call it clean, old-fashioned boot. Jake Fromm to Riley Ridley. Georgia's now added another touchdown. It's actually 14-0, and it's on the SEC Network. Florida State. Check out Felipe Frank. Spins. He's upright. Can he get in? No, he can't. Nice defensive stand. That game on ABC. Back to former Colorado Avalanche fan, Bob Wischusen.
Oh, big Nordiques fan, as it'll be 1st and 10 for Syracuse at their own 25-yard line. And Brock, could you have imagined when we were in Tallahassee a few weeks ago for that Clemson game that there was still a chance we'd be watching Florida State playing to get bowl eligible a few weeks later? They looked like they were going to lose every game the rest of the season.
And so did Book Guy.
You think Book Guy's still there? I'm not sure he ever left. Dungey back to throw. He's going to take another deep shot for a wide-open Riley. Blown coverage by Boston College. A complete bust for the touchdown. And Dungey lights them up. Riley takes it the distance.
Yeah, and you saw this a bunch last night in the West Virginia game in Oklahoma. It is that inside vertical, right? And you can see the conversation there between corner and safety and nickel linebacker. But when you run that inside vertical here, you put a lot of pressure on those 3 guys. It's not the outside vertical, it's that inside vertical. And there's got to be some communication here to pass this off, and they don't. And ultimately, it's about as easy as it's ever going to get from 80 yards for Eric Dungey.
We are now tied at 7. A little over 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Here in Otto Zaccardo was the injured member of the Syracuse special teams group. And it's good to see they're able to help him up. He's fired up. I think he knows they had a takeaway. He'll get the Syracuse sideline fired up. A takeaway, and from injured to cheerleader.
Yeah, and these are 2 teams that have excelled in this area. 2 of the very best in the ACC. That's now Syracuse plus 12 on the season. Boston College plus 10 coming into that. A big reason why these two clubs are in places they've not necessarily been in years past.
Syracuse coming into today trailed only Ohio State and Utah State in terms of takeaways this season. And they'll spread things out with Dungey. Boston College brings a blitz. Dungey being pursued. Lobs one down towards the 5-yard line, and it's scooped up by Jamal Custis at the 2. First and goal, Orange.
In that play may sum up Eric Dungey as well as any. It's why he tears your heart out, says Steve Adazio. It's a blitz on the whiteboard, you beat him. And if that's Tommy DeVito, he may be sacked. But Eric Dungey sees it, he reads it, he gets outside, and then he throws an end-over-end pass. I mean, that thing may not have been wobbly, but it gets the job done. And that is what he has done for 4 years with the Qs. I mean, that thing was a rugby knuckleball, but it really doesn't matter to Eric Dungey what it looks like.
It's not infraction offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, they just cost themselves 5, so now it's first and goal back at the 7, which changes things a bit.
I mean, just take a look at this. He gets outside the pocket, the awareness, the heads up to put it down the field. And if that thing had a little spiral, it may have been a catch and score, but it doesn't matter. And we've seen Eric Dungey. We've called every one of his games for the last 4 years. And you talk to any defensive coordinator and head coach he plays against, and they hate seeing him. The opponents can't wait till he graduates because he makes plays just like that. Maybe not the prettiest, maybe not the most efficient, but certainly one of the grittiest in college football.
There's only 3 active quarterbacks that have at least 8,000 yards passing.
Offense, number 2. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And 1,000 yards rushing, and it's Dungey, Trace McSorley, and the devastating injury to Mackenzie Milton, which was so hard to watch yesterday as Syracuse cost themselves another 5 yards. So now it's third and goal back at the 12. Play action. Dungey looking end zone. Now he's out of the pocket again with a stiff arm. Close to the 7-yard line. It'll be second down and goal.
And guys, all the stuff Eric Dungey does, he does it when he's not 100%. We talked about his back injury coming into this game, and earlier in the game he slid out of bounds on the far side of the field, and he completely scraped up his right throwing arm. His elbow, forearm, pretty raw right there from a good turf burn he got, but he just battles through whatever comes his way.
This time he gives it to Mo Neal, and it'll be third and goal at the 4. Isaiah McDuffie made the stop for BC.
Yeah, he likes it. I mean, he's one of those QBs. Sometimes you tell your quarterback, protect yourself. But you would take his game away from him. He loves the contact.
They run the quick game. Dungey again out of the pocket. Looking for the pylon. Touchdown. Just when you think you have him bottled up, his 13th rushing touchdown of the season for Dino Babers.
And that's Connor Strahan, the middle linebacker here, that just loses a half step of contain. They run a little line stunt inside. That is Strahan, the senior, that is out over the top, and that is just the difference. That is why the guy has rushed for 33 touchdowns and 2,000 yards in his career. He is just a half step better than you more often than not.
Andre Schmidt for the point after. The fumbled kickoff costs Boston College 7, and we're back in 30 seconds. Up. Play action. Anthony Brown, the screen to A.J. Dillon, and he is met and driven back. Boy, was that well diagnosed by Kylan Whitner.
Yeah, the leading tackler, he's out there in a one-on-one situation, and they don't throw to Dillon much. That's just his 8th catch of the year after a goose egg a season ago. So a little bit of a new wrinkle there, and in a one-on-one situation, Whitner beats the block and is able to get to the legs of Dillon.
The toss. Dillon dives out across the 30. Trill Williams, the true freshman, cuts him down, and that will take us to the end of the first quarter. Syracuse by a touchdown here at Alumni Stadium. College struck first, and Syracuse has answered with a couple of scores. As the Cuse has the 14-7 lead, we open up the second quarter with Boston College 115th in America on 3rd down and facing 3rd down and 9.
And looking at man-to-man coverage, who is going to be the one to separate and win?
Shotgun for Brown. Out of the pocket. To the sideline. Out of bounds. Trying to dive and make the catch was Kobe White, but he was not able to stay in bounds, so BC will have to kick it away.
And a nice job there, and you see why the Orange are 5th in the country. That looks like man-to-man early. Brian Ward's crew, a wonderful disguise. They drop into a 3-deep zone. Nowhere for Brown to go with the ball. Late to the sidelines. Forces the punt.
Grant Carlson with a line drive kick to Sean Riley. Dangerous return man. Looking to make that first wave miss. And he gets bottled up at the 33-yard line. Still very good field position for the Orange. And tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC. It's number 3 Notre Dame looking for an undefeated season. And what you would have to think would be an unquestioned berth in the college football playoff when they take on an old rival, USC, at the Coliseum. Ian Book, would anyone have seen this season coming from Ian Book?
He was originally a commit to Mike Leach at the Wazoo, and then ultimately said no, got the offer from Notre Dame, and he's just a game changer. He's Trace McSorley. He's one of those guys that just makes Eric Dungey here for Syracuse. He just makes the people around him better.
Dungey again looking to go up top, up the seam. He was trying to squeeze one in to Ravion Pierce. It's incomplete.
Bob, Boston College doesn't feel like they're getting out executed on defense. They just need to clean up their mistakes. Jim Reed, their D-coord, who also worked at the defensive line, told his guys, especially those ends, he said, we got beat twice on the same call, and your one job was to stay outside and contain the quarterback.
And they may have given Syracuse a free play here. Dungey took advantage of a free play earlier in the game. This time he can't find Sean Riley, but it looks as if BC may have jumped.
Offside, defense number 2, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's going to be the senior end, Zach Allen, who is going to find himself in the NFL for some time, just a little bit over anxious, the leading sacker for the Eagles. And Dungey doing a nice job, and it's not by voice, it is by that clap. So you can even go on to a second clap, a third clap, a fake clap. So all sorts of opportunities to keep a very active defensive line, one of the better sacking units. Keep them on their heels.
Mo Neal was the tailback for the majority of the first quarter. Dante Strickland now in to start off the second quarter. And he helps pick up the blitz. Incomplete though. Sherrod Johnson, the intended receiver, and Brandon Sebastian gets his 8th pass broken up this season.
This is a nice job, just press man. We'll see that out of BC quite a bit. We saw Dennis with a nice play down the field earlier. Just a good ball awareness there to strip it away. Pretty critical as far as real estate and field position goes here. 3rd down in the second quarter.
Both of these teams middle of the pack on 3rd down, but there goes Dante Strickland. Boy, the seas part for number 4. And a 3rd down conversion takes him all the way to the BC 30-yard line. Picks up 32 yards.
You know what that play was, right? That was Mama. Dino Babers calls that play Mama.
And they waste no time. A screen out to Sherrod Johnson trying to catch Boston College, running players on and off the field. They've got another first down.
And this is just a counter play, a power play, where you just wash it down. You pull the, poor Martin there, the right tackle, had no one to block. As Boston College stunted themselves out of the play. What a tremendous 3rd down call, an inside power run on 3rd and 5.
Strickland breaks a tackle. He's at the goal line, and he's brought down just short. 1st and goal, Syracuse.
This is it. Once again, same exact play. It is that A-gap, it is that trench that is going to define the outcome of this game today. And that is now a couple runs here for Syracuse, running right at BC, creating that movement. Dino Babers, a University of Hawaii alum, it is his favorite play in the book. He loves to wash it down like a wave and win that turf right between the guards.
And off to Jarvion Howard with a push, short. He may have lost a yard. As Boston College got the push, Max Richardson was there to make the tackle. It'll be 2nd and goal, closer to the 2.
That's a really nice job by BC. Look at all the shoulder pads staying square. Low man wins. And the extra effort there in the tackle by Richardson.
Chris Elmore, the fullback. Jarvion Howard, the tailback. Another try for Howard. No, a rollout for Dungey. Looking for a cutback at the goal line. He's in. That's a Syracuse touchdown. The second rushing touchdown for Eric Dungey.
He's just an igniter. He makes everybody around him better. And many times that is on the quarterback. Your opportunity to give, to pull. That's a one-on-one situation. He's out there in space, and who is going to win it? And more times than not, number 2 has a big reason they're going for win number 9 this season.
If Dungey had stayed in the game last week, maybe the result wouldn't have been any different. And with all due respect to Tommy DeVito and what his future might be at quarterback, but boy, how much did that game last week change with a flag down on the point after attempt and some pushing and shoving when Dungey went out. It seemed to take all of the air. Glad the Zaroli family could join us on this Thanksgiving weekend here at Alumni Stadium. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams, 21-7. The Cuse on top of BC. 2 rushing touchdowns for Eric Dungey on the day, and Boston College will start at their own 25-yard line. Let's check in with that net.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. A couple of updates here for you. First off, Georgia Tech and Georgia. Jake Fromm with plenty of time in the pocket to Jeremiah Holloman. Makes a snag. 21-7 right now for the number 5 team in the country. It's on the ACC network. Also, Michigan, Ohio State. Wolverines, after giving up an opening touchdown here on 3rd and 6. Shea Patterson. Zach Gentry can't haul it in, so they settle for a field goal. It's a 1-point game currently in Columbus. Bob, back to you and Brock.
What doesn't matter what either's season seems to produce coming into Michigan, Ohio State. Michigan, Ohio State always seems to become a special game, and Alan Stritzinger has to be helped off the field for Syracuse as he took a wallop coming down the field on kickoff coverage.
Yeah, he did. You're going to see him coming right down the field here, and you're going to see the block just absolutely get him as he doesn't see it, and I am glad he found a way to walk off the field.
And the replay booth may initiate a targeting call on that hit. Right now the referee on the headset to the replay booth. And there is a fair chance that a targeting call is going to be initiated. John Lamont, backup linebacker, a player for Boston College that came over and delivered that blow at the crown of the helmet. And Jim Blackwood is our referee in the booth. And Jim, specifically, kickoff coverage players are afforded what protections when there is a targeting that could or could not be called?
Well, it's still the same in targeting. If it's a blindside block, he's protected, period, from a blindside block. But if it's head on here, then it's a situation if they got the right view to look at it. Now, for replay to initiate they must be able to quickly confirm the call and have the video evidence to do it with. So it should be immediately confirmed if they're going to stop the game.
Well, this certainly has not been a quick confirmation, but hard to argue that
there is
John Lamont may have used the crown of the helmet.
But you don't have really video evidence. You don't have the shot looking in from the side to see if he really used his helmet.
And it was far enough behind the play. You know, normally you're not going to have cameras necessarily focused on all of the players running down on kickoff coverage. That, Brock, unlike many other targeting calls, just hard sometimes to find the exact video look you need to confirm the call.
Yeah, and if you're John Lamont right there, you don't necessarily know that that ball has traveled into the end zone. You're doing your job, right? You're on kickoff return. You're targeting that runner down the field. You would sure like to have seen that block a little bit lower, not even to bring any of this into question. To change your strike zone, and no reason you can't hit that player running down the field in the shoulder pads in that moment. This is taking an awful long time. And if Jim is right, if you were going to initiate this call from the booth, you would sure love to see them make this decision a whole lot quicker.
Or, unfortunately, if you just don't have the look that you need, say we don't have the look that you need and move on. But this is taking an eternity from the replay booth to give the officials on the field the decision one way or the other. And it looks like they're finally about ready to take the headset off and tell us what they have found. And I may have spoken too soon.
Bobby, he was just simply, that's called a readjust.
Yeah, the headset's been on so long.
Yes.
You need to make it comfortable again. Here's the call.
After further review, there is no targeting on the play. First down.
And after all of that,
Yeah.
they have determined that targeting will not be called. So Boston College will start at their own 25-yard line. We hope that young man's okay. They're going to take him back to the locker room and walk him through the protocol as BC starts at their own 25. A.J. Dillon does start this drive as the tailback. He gets the call on first down. Straight ahead run for 3 yards. Ryan Guthrie, another tackle for the Orange.
And just downhill in nature now for Syracuse defensively. If you're not going to win out on the perimeter, you're going to continue to see Brian Ward's defenders creep closer and closer to the line of scrimmage.
Stretching outside to Dillon. Running through some arm tackles out to the 34-yard line, a yard shy of a first down. Picked up about 6, so it'll be 3rd down and 1. True freshman safety Andre Cisco made the tackle.
And that ankle will not be right until bowl season, and maybe not even a guarantee by then, as that thing has just been nagging for the last 7 weeks.
A little misdirection on the formation for BC, but they'll run it with Levy. Flag thrown. He's got the first down if the play stands, but a flag thrown behind the play. And this will go against Boston College.
Holding offense number 84. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So Jake Bird, who caught his first career touchdown pass to give BC the score, commits the hold.
Yeah, and we saw this earlier. Remember, I talked about when a player goes down to the ground, many times you see that, just the action of that. I don't know. He's got his hands inside. He's driving. The defender falls to the ground. That is a tough call. I think sometimes that action alone can dictate that penalty. And that is a huge one for Steve Adazio on a 3rd and 1 situation.
For a team that struggles so terribly on 3rd down as well, 3rd and 11. Anthony Brown, screen pass, set up to Levy. Nowhere to go. He picked up a yard, gang tackled by the Cuse at the 25-yard line.
Look at that pursuit and effort by Syracuse. You know, Brian Ward, 3rd-year defensive coordinator here, to me has done a remarkable job. He knows what he is and what he isn't. And they're pretty thin up front, but they will run around and they will mix coverages on these 3rd downs. That time rushing 3, dropping 8 in coverage. All eyes are into the backfield, and if you're going to play that defense, you better pursue, and that's exactly what Syracuse does.
So the penalty call becomes a big one, and now a shanked punt. It'll take a Boston College hop and come close to grazing a Syracuse player. And the Boston College sideline thought it'd make the right guard for Boston College. Just one of the great stories on senior day. And it's one of those special things about college football. There's no such thing as senior day in the NFL.
Nope.
You don't know when your career is going to end, but that big hug with Steve Adazio, the longest starting streak on the team. He came back for his senior season after being a 2nd-team All-ACC guard last year. And he expects to be a pro football player as Dante Strickland goes up the middle for about 3.
It's an awfully big drive here. For BC defensively to find a little bit of confidence, this group has played solid defense over the course of this season. I don't think they anticipated seeing Eric Dungey today either.
BC not even with their cleats on the ground, and it's a wide receiver screen. Nykeem Johnson makes the catch.
But they know if you're playing the Orange, you have got to win for the inside out. That A gap, that trench right there, this is where Syracuse makes their money. It's where Dino's always made his money. It's where he did at Bowling Green before he got this job. And if you win that A gap, and that was a huge 3rd and 5 explosive run, You win that A gap, Syracuse wins games. Because if you can't stop them from the inside out, then Dungey's run and the perimeter play, it just overwhelms opponents.
Quarterback run here on third down. Dungey right up the A-gap. First down easily to midfield.
Yeah, and that's big. Ray Smith is just getting moved off his spot. Another senior lineman, 305 pounds inside there for BC. It's not winning at the point of attack.
Dungey avoids the rush of Zach Allen. Flag thrown. And Dungey throws it away. Ray Smith got some pressure in the backfield, as did Brandon Barlow. And Boston College may have drawn a flag.
Holding offense, number 60, 10-yard penalty. Push down.
And you'll hear that A gap and B gap and C gap, and this is it. This is the A gap right here. B right between guard and tackle, and then that C gap, and then outside here, that D gap. Those are those gaps that everybody identifies offensively and defensively. And then talking to both staffs and both coordinators. Right, Mike Lynch, offensive coordinator, O-line guy for Syracuse. He knows it. That is where Dino begins this entire offense. And for Steve Adazio on the other side as well, and Jim Reed, D coordinator, you have got to win there.
Flags down as this play is blown dead.
False start. Offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty. First down.
That was a big right tackle, Coda Martin, that was going to run that same play. And they don't pull to get outside. Look at it. They pull, and they run that counter play or that power play. They run it so tight, they want to hit it right down the line. And when they are operating and when the Syracuse Orange are at their very best, that's what the chart looks like.
This time they'll run right behind Coda Martin as Dante Strickland gets back 4 of the 5 yards that Martin just cost his father-in-law. You don't want to commit a false start if you're living in the basement of the head coach. And that's because Coda Martin, during the offseason, married Dino Baber's daughter, Jasmine. She was an All-American volleyball player at Texas A&M. He's a grad transfer from Texas A&M. They met down there. He transferred to try and help protect Eric Dungey for 1 season. As Dungey throws it away, it's going to be third down and long. And Mr. and Mrs. Martin are now living in Mr. and Mrs. Baber's basement. And those rides back and forth can't be pleasant if there are a couple flags thrown on number 78.
And I think that story's gotten in now, all 12 broadcasts, but good. But it should, because it's a pretty good one. I've never seen it.
How many broadcasts have we done? It's our turn. Third down and 21. Dante Strickland picks up a little bit of real estate for the punt group.
So guys, not only does Coda Martin get to play for his father-in-law, Dino Babers, but his dad, Kirk, a former high school coach back in Houston who he played for in high school, was hired as a quarterback coach this offseason as well. So it reunited the father and son as coach and player once again. So a lot of familial action here for Syracuse and Coda Martin.
And it's the first punt for Syracuse.
Don't let Sterling Hofrichter tackle. We've already seen it twice on the kickoff coverage team. Animal.
Could be a takeaway. And this is an NFL punt over the head of Walker and reaches the end zone on a fly. Your team made this week's rankings and see how your school can compete. Will this offense give BC fans something to cheer about as they start in their own end? Up the sideline, Tommy Sweeney able to make the catch and pick up 16 yards and a first down.
That's a good start. 47th start for Tommy Sweeney in his career. Second leading receiver. That is a good start to a drive after back-and-back 3-and-outs.
Play action as BC goes up tempo. Underthrown for Ray Martin.
And these are the plays. You know, these are the first and the early downs. Anything 3rd and 7+ against this crew today is going to be a challenged area. And there you see it, the activity of these tight ends. They love to get 4 or 5 of them involved, but got to find first down success against a good third down defense.
A sweep to A.J. Dillon. And now it will be third down as Alton Robinson, who the Syracuse coaches said they thought really was the difference maker, in their front seven. And in our Boston College meetings yesterday, they echoed that. They singled out Robinson as a guy they had to account for.
Yeah, there's no question. Did an excellent job there of keeping contained that leverage and allowing an undersized crew to run sideline to sideline. It's what they do best, as well as this down and distance.
And they'll send a blitz. Slant. Incomplete. Intended for Glines. So Boston College's struggles on third down continue. And they'll have to kick it away.
And any good third down team is willing to play man-to-man. It's willing to mix everything, and you have seen on every one of these third downs a different defense by Brian Ward on that side of it, a guy that I think does an excellent job. Just 2 of 7 now, Boston College on that third down, and it's his mix. It's that man-to-man and playmaking in the secondary that's been a problem for BC.
Another wobbly kick from Grant Carlson. Takes a Boston College roll. And we'll get just about to the 15-yard line before it dies out. 7:10 to go before. Very interesting. This is maybe finally the Saturday where some chaos happens in the top 7 or 8 of the college football playoff standings, because we have not had that so far this season. Began last night with the Apple Cup as Eric Dungey gets out of the pocket again. Contained by Zach Allen, but only for the moment. Cuts it back, still picks up 3. Connor Strahan was there to touch him down.
That's now nearly 200 yards, 197 total yards for a guy that I don't think many people thought when he was carried to the buses last week was going to be out here 7 days later.
This time he's bottled up behind the line and dropped. And that time not falling for it was Strahan, who missed most of last year with a knee injury. Back for his 5th year this season, and the leading tackler for BC.
Yeah, perfectly timed stunt there. Barlow, the defensive end, crashes in on the back, and that time Strahan right on top of it. No hesitation whatsoever. He's been a busy man right in the crosshairs with all of that zone read action, misdirection, and movement by Syracuse.
Boston College blitzes Dungey on third down. He finds a wide open Strickland. Is he cool and calm when the extra rusher is coming? Knows exactly where he wants to go with the football, and they get 11 on 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and again, that is your linebackers that are trying to cover that play. That is so much space for the backside linebacker. That is his outlet. It's a pressure look there by Jim Reed and crew. And the backside linebacker has got to pursue that time. Richardson from all the way across the field, and he can't make up the ground. And you're right, there is just no hesitation from the 4th-year starter at quarterback.
Slam right over the middle to Ravion Pierce. Easily picking up another first down. 16 more. Max Richardson made the stop. Kick off your Week 12 tomorrow. Sunday NFL Countdown. Before facing Aaron Rodgers on Sunday, Viking safety Harrison Smith goes one-on-one with Darren Woodson, the all-pro safety. And Smith modeled his game after that and a lot more tomorrow. Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Dungey right up the seam again. It's Sean Riley, and he makes a courageous catch. He had to know that contact was coming. First down to the BC 36.
You can just see this offense and Dungey getting more and more comfortable. And they've got Boston College in between. Don't know if you want to play zone, don't know if you want to pressure, and then always that threat to run it right between the tackles as well.
Screen this time, it's Riley again. Seven more. 228 yards passing now for Eric Dungey. He's got 10 career 300-yard passing games to go along with 6 career 100-yard rushing games.
Encroachment offense. Did not back up out of the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And now that penalty makes it 2nd down and 8.
But the only thing slowing them down has been some of these penalties and a lot of the pre-snap variety. Because you can see it when they get in rhythm, and this is why they have been so efficient this season, so productive, so many 40-point games this year. They're a tough mix of run and pass.
Another deep shot into double coverage in the end zone, incomplete. Hakeem Johnson, the intended receiver. He was bracketed in the end zone. Tajamir Torres and Lucas Dennis were there in coverage. It will be 3rd down and 8.
And that's a play that Hakeem can make. You know, he does a beautiful job, and these receivers know they're just going to give him an opportunity. You can see he runs through that contact. Dungey does exactly what you want to do. You want to put air on that ball and let your receiver go and get it. He splits the double team. It's almost as if he just lost it there in the last second and can't corral the would-be touchdown.
Dungey over the middle for Pierce. Incomplete. BC gets a 3rd down stop. Now it's 4th down and 8. This is a long field goal attempt if you want to try one with Andre Schmidt, who made a 54-yarder earlier this year, his long against Pitt. From right here, you're looking at about 56 or so, rather 51, pardon me, and it looks like they're going to bypass the field goal and go for it.
Now also, I think you have seen a quick kick. You can see that occasionally from athletic quarterbacks. Dungey may have that in his bag of tricks as well.
Well, they better figure out what they want to do or call a timeout because the play clock's down to 5. Let's see if they get the snap off on 4th down. They will. Although a timeout, I think, was called before the snap by Syracuse from the sideline. And now a late flag drops out.
Now it's going to be on Dungey. He's going to, I think, make this decision as he spiked the ball there at a defender, 44 Barlow.
Prior to the snap, timeout Syracuse. After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 2. Taunting, 15-yard penalty, 4th down. That is number 2's first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game.
So that will cost Syracuse a possession, potentially. Can't do it.
No.
Can't do that.
May have done that back on the playground in Lake Oswego, Oregon growing up, right? Or we may have seen that at some turkey bowls on Thursday all around the country with your buddies or whatever. But that's going to draw the 15 and make the decision for Dino Babers and staff.
And Boston College might have gotten a stop on 4th down and 8, but now there's no doubt Syracuse will have to surrender the football as Dungey made an uncharacteristic dumb mistake.
Don't say you're trying to throw it at his feet either. They're going to look at that tape. Oh, Dino, I was just trying to throw it at his feet. And Dino wasn't buying it then, and he won't buy it when he watches the film either.
Hofrichter with the intentional end-over-end kick will try and pin the Eagles deep. And a fair catch made at the 18-yard line by Michael Walker.
In the run game, Dungey can be creative. Where will that chunk play come? Is it in the play action pass? Can he finally get Dillon, who is still hobbling on that ankle? That is what has really been lacking here offensively in this first half.
They'll start off with Bailey. And the freshman goes up the middle, close to a 1st down. Well, Boston College 3 years ago was number 121 in America in chunk plays of 20 yards or more. Last year they went to 70th. This year, 20th. So the play action has worked this season. They're going to run it with Bailey on 2nd down. And he will pick up about 4 and move the chains.
And that's got to be Jeff Smith. He's the speedster outside. We've not really called his name. Michael Walker, we saw the kickoff return earlier. You've got to find some way. Kobe White off of that heavy run action if these safeties are going to commit to the run.
There's play action. Anthony Brown lobs one to a wide open Jeff Smith. A blown coverage for Syracuse. BC takes advantage. There's the chunk play and a touchdown.
Yeah, so eventually you do run it. And we're just talking about where is this going to come from, because you just watch the fast flow of these safeties and they just get lost. And right behind it, I mean, pick your poison. Where do you want to throw that one? You have multiple opportunities, but those eyes in the backfield, you know, we saw some miscommunication on the other side for Syracuse defensively. That had a whole lot more to do with some of that run action and the defense so committed to getting those safeties involved. And Smith finally the explosive play behind it.
Boston College makes this a 1-score game. Back in 30 seconds.
makes others better, but they are just not equipped and not explosive. And you started to see that hinder over the last few weeks leading into that game. I know Ohio State's given up an awful lot of points defensively, but that offense is the most explosive in that conference.
Dante Strickland picks up 3. And another college football playoff spot on the line tonight. 8 p.m. on ABC. Notre Dame at the Coliseum to take on USC. And Dungey loses the snap all the way back inside the 5-yard line. He's going to heave one, and he got it to the line of scrimmage. So he avoids any kind of a grounding penalty as he got the ball back to the line of scrimmage, kept his composure, and now it will be 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, he's still communicating some calls here, trying to get things right with his wide receivers. And you can see Aaron Service there, the center, has no feel for that, but what a heads-up play from Dungey. That is the kind of play a senior makes. Won't show up on the stat sheet as anything but an incompletion.
Boston College shows blitz, and now Dungey looks over. Will BC bluff out of the pressure? Or they're going to bring it. And they'll rush only 3. Dungey extends the play, takes a shot down the sideline, caught. Taj Harris, 1st down to the BC 36-yard line, picked up 35.
And what did Steve Adazio say yesterday? This kid, Dungey, just takes your heart. It's 3rd and 8. Well, first of all, 2nd down, the ball snapped right by him, and then 3rd down comes all the way back. You rush 3, you drop 8, and he just kills you.
Now he's looking for Custis, broken up. Hamp Cheevers was back, and there is a flag down on the play. Right in the middle of the field.
That's going to be against BC. I think their nickelback just tossed Syracuse wide receiver.
Holding. Defense, number 24. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's Tajamir Torres.
Here's the one-on-one ball. And that's the nation's #1 interceptor in Ham Cheevers. Adazio wanting the call there, and then right in the middle of the field, you'll see this. And that's just Torres tossing the Syracuse receiver.
Dungey with a pump fake, and he's going to throw this one away. So Boston College forces an incompletion with Tanner Carafa getting some pressure on Dungey. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
There's nothing like 37 starts of experience. The ball gets snapped over your head, no big deal. And knowing to throw it and get it back to the chains. Oh, you're going to bluff out of the blitz, no big deal. You're going to drop 8 into coverage. I'll keep the play alive.
Big hit right at the 1st down line to gain on Nykeem Johnson, and he holds on to the football. He got popped by Lucas Dennis. What a catch. Dungey wants to go quick on 3rd down. Quarterback sneak. How about a quarterback run and a power to the goal line? Is he in? He is. Dungey with another touchdown run. Is he tough as nails?
That is one bad man, Bob.
Wow.
Does he get it all the way to the end zone? I think he does. It just has to break the plane.
An 18-yard touchdown run, and he left Will Harris in his wake. And now the training staff has to come out and take a look at number 8, maroon and gold, because Dungey breaks the plane before his back goes down. His 3rd rushing touchdown here in the 1st half.
He is just a bad dude. You're going to run a line stunt, and he's going to see it, and he's going to feel it. And yeah, the QB sneak's supposed to be in the A gap. But if you're going to blitz and stun into that A gap, just the poise and the patience to slide outside. And then it really doesn't matter if it's linebackers, if it's safeties. He finds a way to run over, run through, and clearly a touchdown. His 3rd and now 15th rushing touchdown on the season. He loves to play. Kick. He was all business. Headphones on, mask on. He was ready to go. And you just see the entire team is elevated when he's on the field.
Michael Walker lost it out of the end zone. Now BC's going to have to bring it out, and they won't even get to the 10-yard line. It went right through the wickets of Michael Walker, and that is a special teams error. That's going to cost Boston College field position big time.
It was a fumble earlier, and he just takes his eyes off it that last second. Unfortunately, his right fielder was there to back the play up and make something out of nothing.
Well, now BC's got all 3 timeouts and 1:26 on the clock before halftime. Syracuse starts the 3rd quarter with the football, so I would think Steve Addazio is going to have his offense still being very aggressive here. Anthony Brown back to throw from the goal line. Tries to fake on the run Syracuse's front out and picks up 5.
Yeah, and I would think if you're Syracuse, after butchering that last coverage, I think you're going to keep those 2 safeties instead of 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. Look at them. They're going to be lined up pre-snap 10, 11 and try to keep everything in front of them.
Brown right at the first down line to gain, but Jeff Smith couldn't hold on, as he was at least a couple of yards short and dropped it, so now it's 3rd down.
On the coverage. 3rd down, 5.
Here comes a blitz. It's caught by Jeff Smith. Then he loses the football. Flag out.
That's going to be 15 on the true freshman Trill Williams right there. He has played an aggressive game today.
After the play is over, personal foul. Late hit, defense number 21. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
That is one in time. If I've talked about experience on the other side with an Eric Dungey that's learned over 4 years, you're Trill Williams. You're off the field now on 3rd down. This is not a time that you've got to make any kind of statement like that.
That's a turnover.
Yeah.
It does not go down in the box score as a turnover, but Boston College was about to give the ball up. That is a turnover that keeps the drive alive for BC. Brown avoids a sack at first, and now he goes down back at the BC 21-yard line. Tyrell Richards, his 2nd sack of the season, an 8-yard loss.
And the 11th best sacking team in the country is down one of their studs. There's no Kendall Coleman on the other side opposite Alton Robinson. It really doesn't matter. There is a bunch of orange. They're very aggressive and one of the best in the country at getting to the quarterback.
And Steve Addazio is laying into his offensive line.
Yeah, you start to put things together for this Syracuse team. And in year 3 here for Dino, 4 wins. How have they taken the next step? I think you've seen clearly in this first half, nearly 30 minutes. Number 2 is an enormous part of it. As they normally are, and Steve Addazio knows it. He was telling us very clearly yesterday, how do we get to 8 or 9 wins? How do we take that step? Well, look around college football. Many times the teams that take that next step, they get their best players to elevate. And for A.J. Dillon this year, he has been hampered since week number 4. And even with that, Boston College still put themselves in position at 7-2. A couple tough losses, and today facing an Eric Dungey that has been the best player, and so often it is those quarterbacks that make the difference for you.
4-man rush, and the pocket collapses again. Kingsley Jonathan gets the sack. And now if you're Boston College, I can't imagine they would call a timeout. I would think Syracuse might respond by calling a timeout of their own. And Dino Babers did just that with 28 seconds to go in the first half. Well, let's take a look at today's unexpected outcome brought to you by ExxonMobil. And we go back to the 2004 matchup between these 2 teams. Syracuse defeats Boston College, ranked number 17 at the time, 43-17. Matt Ryan picked off by Damian Ferry. 44-yard touchdown the other way. And Syracuse, they lead the all-time series, a series that dates all the way back to 1924. Last season, Boston College won in a game where they scored the most points they've ever scored.
Yeah, but there was no Eric Dungey in that game last year, and you just see the marked difference when that man is on the field.
A couple of extra seconds put back on the clock for Syracuse, and BC will run it here with Levy. And does a pretty good job of getting it out across the 31-yard line. So the Orange will call their next timeout with 24 seconds to go in the half and force a BC punt.
And it's been a rough day punting the ball as well. I think part of that clock management for Dino is knowing that phase of the game, you got one of the best returners in all of college football in Sean Riley. Dino's done a heck of a job this season. You know, 2 of their 3 losses, they had leads in the 4th quarter, both at Clemson versus Pitt. They ultimately lose in overtime. And then obviously last week, I think we were all watching. I think the nation was watching. I know a lot of Syracuse alums were so excited to see that game. And how do you match up against Notre Dame? And unfortunately, when Dungey goes out early in the 1st quarter, you could just feel the air out of that team and out of the program. And quite a difference today as he's exploded on the scene.
Sean Riley, as Brock said, very dangerous return man, back to receive the kick. A wobbly one again from Carlson. And it will take a BC hop, and Boston College let as much time come off the clock as possible before touching it down with 16 seconds to go. No timeouts left, but Syracuse at their own 35-yard line, Brock, I would think, with a Groza Award candidate kicker, they're thinking field goal range.
No question. You've seen the vertical game effective out of the slot. The vertical game, Ravion Pierce is a big physical tight end. Custis, they've thrown 2 jump balls too. He's not come up with either one of them, but that will not deter Dungey. He will continue to give those guys opportunities, but it actually looks like with this field position and without any timeouts, they may just be taking this into halftime.
So Syracuse will play it safe as they will start the 3rd quarter with the football and a 2-touchdown lead. We were wondering if Dungey was going to be the difference maker today. He has been that and more, as he had a hand in all 4 Syracuse touchdowns in the first 10.
Answer and a way to contain his playmaking ability. They've got no chance here in the 2nd half.
Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, watching Sean Riley run this one back. And down on the field, Allison Williams with us as well.
Bob, it does not sound like we will see Boston College running back A.J. Dillon in the 2nd half. He was not out there for the final few series of the 1st half. He is on the bench, full pads, helmet in hand, but Steve Adazio said he is unlikely to play here in the 2nd half. You know, he's been battling that ankle injury. He said with him not being 100%, we're going to look to the backups and probably will not utilize him for the rest of the game.
That is really disappointing for Boston College, as obviously his absence was notable, but there are times where they will have him on a pitch count because they know there's only so much that his ankle injury can withstand. But ruled out for most likely the rest of the game. And a little touch forward to Nykeem Johnson. How about that play? The ball barely touches the fingertips of Eric Dungey, and he simply touches it forward for the jet sweep.
Bob, those are called the easiest passing yards in college football right there.
2nd down and 5. Neal about a yard or so shy of the 1st down. Brandon Barlow made the stop. Actually, they'll give him forward progress right to the line to gain, and they'll say it is a 1st down, and it goes from bad to worse for BC because that is arguably the best defensive player they've got. Zach Allen unable to get up.
Yeah, and it was the son-in-law there, the big right tackle, Coda Martin, Dino Baber's son-in-law. Zach Allen is flying down there, and he loses control, and it's like he twists his ankle, and Coda just pile drives him and finishes him into the ground. That's the play. You wash it down on the strong side. You bring your left guard and your left tackle around. As you can see, they're going to work on that lower leg, it looks like, that lower right ankle.
And you know you're an important player when the head coach comes all the way out to check on you. I was just about to ask you, schematically, you know, you're drawing up a defense. What did BC not do that they can do to try and contain Dungey in the 2nd half? How would you change things up? And to me, the centerpiece of any plan you might have for the 2nd half to control Eric Dungey is that guy limping off the field.
Yep. Well, they just put you in such a bind because they're not just one-dimensional. That play right there, and it's why I love the very essence of their offense. And it goes back to Baylor when they were absolutely rolling. And we saw Baylor in their prime 3-4 years ago. And they mix this inside run, and you can just see that lower right leg gets caught up. Dakota Martin finishes him into the ground. But what do any great defenses in any sport, what do they always want? Basketball, baseball, football, you want to be strong up the middle. So offensively, if you want to get everything going and the jet sweep and the bubble screens and the shots downfield, you still, I love it, the premise to say, no, that's all fine. We can take all of that. But winning right here, winning right in the middle of this line of scrimmage, if we can gut them there, it sets everything else up.
Backwards pass to Taj Harris. He's looking back for Dungey, and he just about threw an interception. He underthrew it back, intended for Dungey. And Tanner Carafa had a chance at a pick. So Syracuse moving the ball effortlessly, gets cute, and it almost cost them.
Yeah, that's borderline absurd to run at your own 30-yard line.
Dungey back to throw on 2nd and 10. Long pass down the sideline and an easy interception for Tajamir Torres. He's got blockers. Tajamir Torres out of bounds at the Syracuse 32. Complete miscommunication between Dungey and his wide receivers. They broke their route off. He threw it deep, and it basically became a punt. And it looks like it was Nykeem Johnson that he was looking for.
Yeah, and many times, Bob, this is about how many safeties are back. And Eric Dungey sees one safety, so he thinks it's going vertical. And instead, you're going to see Nykeem break this route off. And by the time Dungey throws it, he is trusting that his receiver's going to get vertical. I don't think there's any reason for Nykeem to break this route off. He does. And then your pick on the trick play before, you can see Dungey right there. Oftentimes, that receiver, like the quarterback, has got to see the coverage behind. You let that one go, and you can see the obvious disappointment from Dungey.
David Bailey dives up the middle for 2. So now the question is, can Boston College take their takeaway and make this a one-score game? As Syracuse capitalized on BC giveaways in the first half. Anthony Brown down the sideline, drops it in perfectly. Ben Glines, touchdown.
They get a 2-on-1 on that safety there, and they put him in a bind. And this is where and why this coaching staff's awfully excited about Anthony Brown. He shows you flashes of this playmaking ability. And for Glines, the redshirt junior there, a perfectly timed wheel route. And Anthony saying, yes, thank you, Syracuse. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the takeaway defense. And you pay it off exactly what you needed to do to begin the second half.
Ben Glines was a running back in high school, came to BC, injured in 2015. It's gone back and forth between running back and wide receiver.
To BC and Anthony to take advantage of that takeaway.
Third time this season Brown has had a 3-touchdown game. And now it is back on Dungey. And boy, have there been a lot of explosive plays today, specifically for Syracuse, but BC off a couple of blown coverages. They've got 2 touchdowns off of busts in the secondary by Syracuse.
And Dungey and many of those have been out on the move. So you asked earlier, how do you corral him? To me, you have got to keep him between the tackles as best you can. If you're going to run a stunt or a blitz, your linebackers, your ends, you have to know your leverage, and you've got to make number 2 beat you from the pocket.
He's in the pocket here, under pressure, avoids a sack, and is able to throw it away.
And guys, that's what Steve Adazio said at the half with Dungey. He said we have to figure out a way to contain him and keep him in the pocket. He said the issues defensively were lack of execution and then miscommunication. He said we cannot have that, because if we do, Dungey's going to make us pay every time.
He's got 2nd down and 10 here, and he has been lethal when he's gotten outside of the pocket. Boston College blitzes. Dungey finds a slant to Sean Riley. And it will be 3rd down.
Yeah, this is a fun pre-snap game for those of you that enjoy watching coverage, trying to decipher from your television. Is it blitz? As you see Riley hobbling off the field. The amount of movement pre-snap here for Boston College defensively. Pretty good game, cat and mouse.
Dungey pulls it down, and he's got a 1st down.
And then ultimately, you can draw it all up the way you want with the Jimmies and Joes. And say, this guy's got this gap, that guy's got that containment, and you can have it right. And then ultimately, he breaks one tackle, does Dungey, and he beats you.
Quarterback draw again. Boston College not set defensively. And he victimizes them again for about 6 yards as BC can't even get their eyes forward and their cleats set. And Dungey's snapping the ball and going right up the middle.
And Dino said to Allison walking in, he is just old school, man. He is an old soul, an old school football player.
O'Neal. 3rd down and 1.
And literally, he will, because of their offense and what they're capable of doing. If you're not aligned, he will just get up there and he will goose it. And he will sneak it, and he will take advantage of your misalignment.
And they want to go quick again on 3rd down. O'Neal, 1st down, breaking tackles to the BC 42. Finally tripped up by Brandon Barlow.
Well, there it is again, and that time, you know, it's with Rhino, and that's what they call their fullback, Chris Elmore, 36. It is just washing it down to one side, pulling around the other. Back-to-back plays.
Heel again. And this time he is met in the hole. And driven back by Isaiah McDuffie. Gain of a yard. Dungey avoids a sack again, gets to the sideline again, makes a man miss again, and eventually picks up a couple of yards when he could have been brought down behind the line easily.
So they run an inside blitz. They bring both linebackers. They want to get in Dungey's face, and again, it is that containment as you see another Orange player down. The time it's Dante Strickland. But that's the inside pressure. So you're just trying to change these looks for a senior quarterback. And then you've got one assignment there. If you're Brandon Barlow on the end, you have got to keep containment. And he cannot. Dungey beats him and forces or gets them into a little more manageable 3rd down.
Syracuse 8 for 12 on 3rd down. Blitz off the edge. Dungey gets wrapped up. And this time Boston College holds on and gets the sack. Tajamir Torres was there and finally late. Dungey throws the ball out of bounds. I can't believe the officials didn't blow the whistle. His forward progress was stopped at least 7 or 8 yards forward of where he just threw that football. How did they not blow that play dead? That was ridiculous.
Now,
again, Jim Blackwood is our referee expert here in the booth. And Jim, to me, is that forward progress or not?
That's forward progress. When he loses his legs and they start taking.
They drove him back at least 8 or 10 yards, and now they have put the ball out at the 42-yard line. And I guess they're going to say that forward progress was stopped there. It's a loss of 18 yards. But unless we didn't hear a whistle, and I didn't hear a whistle, BC kept playing. Dungey took a very unnecessary hit.
Yep, and that's why he's frustrated and that sideline frustrated.
BC coming after the kicker. Africa gets it away. Out of bounds on the far sideline. We'll see where the officials give Boston College field position to. Always is a stretch. Walking to the cafeteria, correct. Levy tries to get outside and picks up a yard. Ryan Guthrie, another tackle. He's been everywhere today for Syracuse.
He sure has, and you playing into his hands when it's sideline to sideline. This is a crew that's undersized at that 2nd level. We've seen how active those safeties are as well. I think anytime you run laterally, advantage Syracuse.
Play action for Anthony Brown. He's taking a shot down the sideline for Smith. 50-50 ball, and it looks like it's picked off by Trill Williams. The true freshman ran the route for Jeff Smith and got the interception.
Hey, 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 look what I found here if I'm just in the right position. Now tell you, the one thing Trill did very well here is he did not panic. He waits to look back until the receiver does. He reaches his arm up, and as a QB, you would love your senior wide receiver to say, my ball or nobody's ball. And he gets outfought, does Jeff Smith, by the true freshman Trill Williams for his second pick of the year.
Trill Williams was 6 years old and convinced a 10, 11, and 12-year-old flag football team to let him join. That's how long he's been playing football. He started playing tackle football when he was 7 the following year. So he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and now he is doing just that as a really promising young cornerback for Syracuse.
Yeah, and that is just awareness and all of that feel from those years of playing. How many times do you see DBs just panic there and they grab and they reach and they don't lose sight? He reaches his arm up as the receiver does, and then he outfights the senior.
Dungey, little pick play out on the edge, sets up Taj Harris, another true freshman. And he is very close to a first down. Should be 3rd down and short. Boston College going to try to get lined up on defense because Dungey has hurt them playing with pace in spots just like this. And right on cue, they'll look over. Mo Williams, first down.
And you know what's coming. I mean, that is at least the 8th or 9th time they have run that exact same concept in play. If you're going to play this fast and you're going to just use the limited personnel so you're not subbing, the other team can't sub, it is not as if you're seeing 7 or 8 different runs. I mean, that is the play they feature. And if you do not stop it, they are going to continue to run it until you do.
That's Mo Neal, pardon me, and he's still out there. Same formation. Play action off of it. Dungey sacked. Carafa got him. 4th sack of the season for Tanner Carafa.
And you know how annoyed those D linemen must get because that number 2, he is never in the spot that you think he is going to be, and it's going to be all about effort here in the final 22 minutes to try to corral him.
Blitz. Dungey floats a screen looking for Mo Neal, and that was a dangerous throw. It'll be 3rd down and at least 13 as John Lamont almost got home with the blitz.
And this would be an interesting call for Jim Reed, defensive coordinator, Anthony Campanelli, who handles a lot of the coverage, co-defensive coordinator. When they just rushed 3, Dungey has been effective second half here. As you see Campanelli, one of the great young minds in college football. Be very careful just rushing 3 against this guy, and they come after him.
Swing pass. Mo Neal, no one accounts for him. Boston College left number 21 all alone. And Tajamir Torres brings him down at midfield. But it doesn't get much easier than that on 3rd and 13.
No, and that is just a bust again. And that will be incredibly frustrating, as hard as it is to defend this crew, and you get them to 3rd and 13, and you've got a 4-over-3.
Brandon Sebastian is hurt as Dungey goes over 300 yards once again.
And you know what's largely coming here from Syracuse, right? They're going to clear things out here, and you've got numbers to the bottom here. You're going to drop out underneath this. You have 4 on 3. There has got to be somebody that comes off into coverage, and nobody does. And you could see the sideline just freaking out about this. Watch the sidelines down here. They can sense it and feel it as well. You've got to come off those vertical concepts, and you can't come off of it 10 yards down the field. Not against a senior quarterback. You may get away with that. If today, if it's the inexperienced DeVito, you may get away with that with a guy that doesn't have 37 starts under his belt. But you're not going to against this guy. He has such a feel for that space and what is going on, and you drop too far underneath, even with numbers.
But when you call that route combination, isn't that the effect Eric Dungey is hoping those verticals will have?
Absolutely.
He's probably looking for that check down.
Oh, there's no question as a QB. You're like, please, carry him. Thank you. I will take that on 3rd and 13.
Here's Dante Strickland. This time, he's got nowhere to go. No gain on first down. And it is John Lamont to make the stop.
Not this time. Not in that A-gap this time. I do love the commitment to it. And that wasn't the power play. That was a little more of the zone action, and Lamont all over it.
Another blitz. Dungey, easy pitch and catch with Custis. Jamal Custis has a first down as he was able to drive Lucas Dennis down the sideline. You can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus. So start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. Dante Strickland. And he is able to grind out about 6 yards or so. This is a young man that when he was in 8th grade, his father lost his job. His family had to move into a motel where he lived throughout high school. And he was embarrassed because when he was getting recruiting letters, like from Syracuse, they had to go to a post office box because 5 kids shared 2 beds in one motel room. The sacrifices his parents made to keep the family together. Eventually, his dad found another job, and here he is at Syracuse, about to get his degree, and he picks up a first down. A good run by Dante Strickland.
And there's just a beauty in the simplicity, isn't there? I mean, you just see the same commitment to attacking the same space. It's an inside-outside, man. It is a boxer that's going to the body and to deliver the outside perimeter blow.
Dungey looks one way, takes a shot towards the end zone. The other way to Custis for the touchdown. 6'5" wins.
Playground, man. You get it on the playground. Earlier on this drive, he stops on this route. You know, he's got full freedom here. You want to stop on a little curl route, you want to keep running. This time he keeps on running. He's got the matchup with the safety there. A perfectly timed and executed throw to go let your 6'5" receiver go up and get it. Have yourself a day, number 2.
5 touchdowns accounted for Eric Dungey. He's thrown for a couple. He's run for 3.
You can hear the "Let's Go Orange" chants. Alumni Stadium.
And it's back to Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, and Allison Williams back at Alumni Stadium. Here in Chestnut Hill, that has been the Eric Dungey Show. 3 touchdowns on the ground for the Syracuse quarterback. He's thrown for a couple as well. The last to his 6'5" receiver, Jamal Custis, and he has piled up the yards.
Well,
today.
when he's in the game, you can see why they've scored 50 points plus in 5 of their 11 games. I mean, they are just difficult to contend with a guy that keeps plays alive, that erases the mistakes of others. And it's been the 3rd and longs. BC's going to kick themselves at those 3rd and 10 plus where they do not get off the field.
BC's going to get field position here as the kickoff is hooked out of bounds by Hoffrichter.
Kick out of bounds, kicking team. Ball in place at 35-yard line, first down.
Set back to Adnet.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Updating you right now what's happening in Florida and Florida State. Felipe Franks to Josh Hammond. This was set up by an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. So the Gators stretching out there. Leaders Hammond gives the shh sign to the crowd. 20-7 right now. It's over on ABC. And the Cosi Perry and Miami come up next against Virginia Tech. You see Perry's numbers last week against Virginia Tech. More great football ahead, Bob.
And more great football tonight, as we'll see if Notre Dame and Clemson can get wins in rivalry games and stay in the college football playoff as BC runs up the middle with Bailey for 4. Again, no A.J. Dillon, as Allison Williams told you a little while ago. That ankle injury is just too much to play on. Now it's 3rd down and 5 as the true freshman and David Bailey. Really the poor man's A.J. Dillon. Dillon's 245 pounds, and Bailey measures at 245 as well, but you know, not nearly the explosive quality that Dillon has when he's healthy.
This is an enormous 3rd down. For your defense, just for the momentum and confidence in this building.
On 3rd down and 5, Brown back to throw. Escapes the rush. Across his body. Right to midfield, and he's got a first down hookup. Squeezes one through to Kobe White.
Big time. Those are the plays you got to make. That's what your counterpart on the other side is doing. And Alton Robinson, he beats Petrula, the right tackle there. He is in the face of Anthony Brown. He keeps the play alive, and he pulls his best Eric Dungey of the day.
Third time White has been targeted. That's his first catch. Brown off play action. He wants the deep ball for Kobe White. Underthrown and could have been intercepted. Andre Cisco, who's got 6 interceptions this season, second in FBS. 2 Hamp Cheevers.
Yeah, and that's in the face right there. And I think maybe just the hand right there at the very end by White just shields Cisco, because he is, as you referenced, a ball hawk with 6 of those this season.
Low snap. And a low percentage throw to Travis Levy. Now it's 3rd down and 10.
And now you're in danger zone, because now you're playing right into the teeth of the 5th best 3rd down defense in America. You don't have to do 100 things well when you're the defense for Syracuse. And just 3 of 9 for BC today in this down and distance. If you take the ball away, which they do, if you sack the quarterback and you're good on 3rd down, you have a chance to win 8, 9, 10 games in the season.
Only a 3-man rush. First down, hook up to Sweeney. The tight end rumbles inside the red zone. And finally, out of bounds. And let's see, will they mark him out at the Syracuse 19-yard line.
That's a pretty headsy play there by Anthony Brown, using his shoulders and his eyes, faking the bubble screen. But why are you biting? Why are you biting on a bubble screen on 3rd and 10? Just that situational and field awareness. And you've seen the challenges in some of the zone coverage for both of these groups today.
And off to David Bailey. He picks up 4.
And you know why? Because at times, defenders can help themselves. The same thing when a QB scrambling 5 yards down the field and he pump fakes like Ben Roethlisberger. Why are you possibly jumping? Because sometimes just those mere actions attract those defenders.
Bailey can't hold on. 3rd down and 6 at the 15-yard line.
It's a good play. And you know, if you've got a secondary that likes to jump routes and be very active, you got to use your shoulders and eyes.
Trill Williams off the field for a big 3rd and 7. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams at Boston College. BC down by 2 touchdowns, but in the red zone. And very clearly 4-down territory, you would think, as they dive forward with Travis Levy. And Brock, we've made that point before. That's a tip of the hand as to what they're going to do on 4th down when they run that play on 3rd down.
Yes, but you would sure love, against the numbers in the box, to not have a low snap in a mistimed inside zone run and get more than a yard. On the play X's and O's wise, they had a lot more there.
So 4th and 6, BC goes for it at the 15-yard line. Brown, incomplete. C.J. Lewis stopped his route. And Brown can't believe it. He's all over his sophomore wide receiver as C.J. Lewis just stopped running.
Yeah. And he stops running because he feels that inside defender. But you can't. I mean, this is 4th down. I mean, these are the plays right here on senior day as a young sophomore. And you're an old quarterback yourself, CJ, and you know it as you look back to your teammate. You know that you have got to finish that route, even if you take a collision in the middle of the field, and Steve Addazio has a tough football team. And that's not a tough play there by a wide receiver that just alligator arms it, looking at the contact instead of just embracing it and finding a way to stay alive.
Syracuse comes right back with an up-the-middle run to Mo Neal. And he picks up 8 yards on 1st down.
And you can add 8 more yards to that trench, that A-gap trench right in the middle of the field that Syracuse is just continuing to attack.
Neal again. 1st down run.
That's 2 more yards. And look at this. I mean, add 2 more. That's now 28 carries for 113 yards. I think there's a commitment to it. I mean, there really is just a beauty to the simplicity of what they do. And if you don't stop it, they will continue to call it.
A slant behind it, incomplete behind Nykeem Johnson. And Brock, you see the effect it has on a defense as well, because how impactful has play action and some of the out-of-the-pocket stuff for Dungey been today?
No question.
Where there seemingly been no Eagles to defend him at times. Well, how would you deploy your troops if you're giving up 100+ yards right between the tackles?
Is why every great defense wants to be strong from the inside out, and any offense worth their salt knows to attack them that way.
Dungey keeps the play alive and fights for a yard. Barlow and McDuffie sandwich him at the 28-yard line. So here is a very important 3rd down and long. Can the BC defense get a stop and get off the field, keep this a 2-score game?
And is he a QB or is he a lineman?
Well, I was talking to Matt Park, the radio voice of Syracuse at halftime. He said that touchdown run where he ran over Will Harris in the first half was the best run he's ever seen Eric Dungey have.
And 10 to 15 on 3rd down, story of this game.
And they're going to run it right up the gut. Dante Strickland surprised at that call, that conservative on 3rd down and 9. He only picks up 3.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's also playing to just the overall game, to your group, to a pretty good punter, to a quarterback that is also getting a little more beat up as this game evolves.
Now, if you're Syracuse, would you not let the entire quarter clock expire? It looks like they will. And that should take us to the 4th quarter, where Boston College will begin the 4th with the football down by 2 scores. But as dynamic as Dungey has been today, to just dive up the middle on 3rd down and 9?
Pretty conservative.
4th quarter coming up. Syracuse. Welcome back to ESPN's College Football, presented by Xfinity, as we start the 4th quarter here at Boston College. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams here in Chestnut Hill. And BC forces a punt to begin the 4th, down by 2 touchdowns. Michael Walker looking for a return. He'll have a chance at the 15-yard line. Gets away from the first man. Close to the 35-yard line before he's brought down. We're back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thanks so much. Once again, an update on what's happening in Florida and Florida State. It's been all Gators, but Seminole show up here. DeAndre Francois on first and goal, just waltzing into the end zone. 27-14 Gators. It's over on ABC. And Michigan and Ohio State. This is Dwayne Haskins to Harris Campbell. These crossing routes just killing the Wolverines as it led to a field goal. 8-point lead right now. Buckeyes have the edge. Bob?
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. Anthony Brown back to work from his own 35-yard line. Ben Glines on a trap to the near side, picks up 4. Remember that commercial that you referred to last week when we called the game together? You said, want to get away?
Yes.
How about you're Jim Harbaugh and you lose this year to Ohio State when you're inside the top 4? You think you're going to be the guy that's going to want to get away if Michigan doesn't come back and find a way to win that game? Tough pass to handle. And it's good for a gain of 1.5 yards to Walker. It'll be 3rd down and 5 for Boston College. Syracuse with a 5-man rush, and Boston College gets shut down on 3rd down. Chris Garrison, the intended receiver, and he couldn't beat Andre Cisco. Now will Boston College go for it from their side of the 50? They're looking over to the sideline, and after a little bit of a hesitation, it looks like Steve Adazio says no, too risky with this much time left in a 2-score game to not punt it away.
And I don't think you can do that. Not with Eric Dungey and that offense on the other side, but you see that look of disappointment. A 5-yard 1st down game, and then the next 2 downs, you just cannot find any rhythm. And that 3rd down defense, Syracuse, has been the difference.
Line drive kick for Carlson. Riley, returnable. He's got a lane. Riley trying to get outside and turn the corner. And he'll take a pretty hard hit right on the boundary. Out of bounds, close to the 34-yard line, a 20-yard.
running between the tackles. That A-gap conversation we had at the very beginning of this game. They've done it in a little different way here in the second half, bringing in Chris Elmore. All the hair, all the size at 260 pounds. They call him Rhino for a reason. And you see him here once again. Typically where he goes, the ball follows. And this afternoon, it's been right between the guards.
And Strickland is going to run that way. And there's Rhino helping to pave the way for Strickland to pick up 6 out to the 40-yard line.
It really is some of, again, I'll call it the beauty of what these guys do offensively. You know, you watch an air raid system in the snow, the cold weather really gets shut down. This is a crew that, yes, will throw it, but the identity starts with running the ball right there.
Well, Boston College has forced 3rd down and 2. Connor Strahan made the stop on Strickland. And if BC is going to have a chance to come back in this game, these are the 3rd downs where they're going to have to get stops, because they're not going to force 3rd down and 8+ too often against Eric Dungey. And they're going to run right at the heart of the BC defense. Strickland comes up short. 4th down and 1 for Syracuse at their 43-yard line.
I think at a minimum here, you have got to try to use your cadence. BC's been jumpy a couple different times. So I think at a very minimum here, these 30 seconds on this play clock, you're going to get up to that line and at a minimum do that or run this sneak.
Boston College jumps. That's unbelievable. And Dungey knows he's got a free play. A jump ball down the sideline, incomplete, intended for Nykeem Johnson. But again, Brock, a spot where you have to think the BC defense has to think, hold your water.
Defensive tackle in the neutral zone to snap. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Yeah, and you can see Adazio just terribly frustrated. I know it, you know it. I think a lot of the folks sitting in these stands know what's coming here on a 4th down in your own territory. The one thing you cannot do if you're Big Ray Smith, but those are the dividends that get paid when you run right at them. Right, when you're not just a perimeter finesse team, these guys are trying to get an advantage.
Jet sweep to Riley. And he is corralled at about the 47-yard line. But if you're Boston College, just thinking time and score at the minus 43-yard line in the 4th quarter, up 2 touchdowns, there is nothing about that situation in the game that says it's wise for Syracuse to snap the ball. And yet you still jump off sides and fight on the hard count. Everything in football says hard count and then we'll punt. Play action for Dungey. As he's falling down, hoists a pass, and it comes to Sherrod Johnson. What a play by Dungey, and what a great play by the wide receiver to come back and help him, as it looked for the world like Dungey might be sacked by Richardson.
Well, this could be really close. They may want to take a look at this. Does that knee touch the ground before that ball is out? It is as close as it gets. And once again, your buddies, this time Johnson and Custis and Riley, all of them, they just know their QB keeps the play alive. And out on that playground, you love to play with guys like Eric Dungey.
Will replay buzz down? They do not. Strickland goes up the middle and picks up about 3 yards.
And we've just seen gamers like this in college football. Right, we've seen what Trace McSorley did for James Franklin at Penn State, really elevating that program. You know, you've seen now what Eric Dungey has done this season for Dino Babers and this staff. I mean, those are plays that they are going to miss mightily over the years to come. And Tommy DeVito and anybody that's got to fill his shoes are going to look at plays just like that and say, yeah, there are very few that can do it like he can.
Strickland into the secondary. 1st and goal, Syracuse at the 5.
Just wear you down. Body blows just wear you out.
Strickland again. And he moves the pile to the 3-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal. And all of this possible because Dungey made this play. Now, was his knee down?
Oof.
It looks like he got it away. And replay did not buzz down and stop play. But Brock, is that ball out of his hand before the knee touches? Looks like it is. That's a heck of a play by the quarterback there. Strickland up the middle. And Boston College holds at the 1.5-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
What a tug of war inside. with some of these interior linemen for Service and Adams and Roberts against big Ray Smith inside there, 305 pounds. This has just been a battle royale right there for that turf, for that real estate. These guys love it.
Dungey lobs it, perfectly thrown. Taj Harris, touchdown. You can't do it any better. Another touchdown accounted for Eric Dungey.
I think that look says it all. And we'll see what happens and transpires over these 9 minutes. And the BC has got a miraculous comeback in them. But if they don't, Steve Adazio is going to say their guy, number 2, made play after play after play on 3rd downs over the course of this game. Now his 6th touchdown that he accounts for.
Syracuse 11 of 18 in the game on 3rd down. And they're scoring on 3rd down to open up a 21-point lead with just a share in all of the 42 points scored by the Orange. And they now have a 3-touchdown lead. A couple of yards deep. Walker will bring it out. Good return to the 30-yard line. Bob Shoes and Brock Ewert. Allison Williams here at BC. And Adnan back in the studio.
Well, Bob, it's getting ugly if you're a Michigan Wolverines fan. 34-19 Buckeyes, and Shea Patterson on 3rd and 12 scrambling gets picked off by Jordan Fuller. Just throws up a wounded duck, and the Buckeyes take advantage. And then it's Mike Weber who will punch it in on 1st and goal. It is now 41-19 against Jim Harbaugh's best Michigan team. Bob, back to you.
Wow. And that will render everything that Michigan has done this season moot, as far as Michigan fans are concerned. A jet sweep. And at about the 35-yard line, Kobe White is brought down after a gain of 4.
Yeah, you just wonder a little bit like Mike Leach up at Washington State, 10-1 this year, an unbelievable year. We saw them in the last 2 weeks, but against Chris Peterson, he just can't beat him. He's 0-6, his scheme and his style. Now Harbaugh is looking to be over. And his man-to-man defense and all that they love to do sure is great against everybody else in that Big Ten, but against the playmaking and speed of Ohio State, not a good match.
Slant to Kobe White. He's to midfield. BC needs to score quickly as Trill Williams spins him down. And this throws some chaos, assuming that score holds, into not only the top 4, but also where does Ohio State go? How much respect do they get, despite some of their terrible performances, even in wins at times this year? How much respect does a win over Michigan get them? As that pass intended for Travis Levy is dropped behind the line of scrimmage.
And then where does Oklahoma and where does UCF, who we will see next week, where do those teams find themselves?
What happens to LSU if they're able to win? They're 3 spots ahead of Michigan right now.
You know,
would they be a team that would move up towards the top 4?
We were just kind of waiting in college football. We like to say it every year that these things tend to sort themselves out. And this is really the latest we have seen in any of these seasons where just a little bit of chaos could be creeping in.
Pardon me again, LSU obviously ahead of Michigan. They're not ahead of Michigan, ahead of Ohio State. That pass intended for Kobe White. Makes it 3rd down and 10.
And I don't really like a lot of this underneath stuff here with 7 minutes to go down 3 scores. You throw a flat route 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, that's going to be a completion for 2 yards. You have seen some of the vulnerability down the field of an inexperienced secondary and freshmen and some new pieces. Not pushing the ball down the field very often here in the final 15 minutes.
Syracuse brings pressure. Man-to-man, out on the edge, incomplete, flag out. Jeff Smith drew the penalty flag.
And you just got to have more of this. You have got to challenge these guys down the field.
Holding defense number 18. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Scoop Bradshaw.
And it is that vertical seam that we have seen more and more. Oklahoma, West Virginia seemed to run that thing about 25 times last night. And just the tug on the jersey, the obvious penalty there. But I am challenged. I'm running my vertical game here. And if I wanted to go shot to check down, that's one thing. But all the flat routes, shallow crosses, and everything else, again, with a speedy, undersized crew laterally, I think you play into their hands.
A long flat pass thrown near the line of scrimmage for David Bailey is incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. Kylan Whitner was there in coverage. And BC has caught Syracuse a few times today, Brock, in busted coverages when they have sent multiple players vertical.
Yep.
Four-man rush. Another check down. And it will be 3rd down and 10 as Glimes couldn't hold on. 15 schools, all one network. A new place to call home. It's the ACC network. Coming August of 2019.
And these are pro-style concepts, and I like it. And I like a lot of the structure of it, and I totally understand it. But there also comes just a point when you're playing an opponent that I think it's vulnerable down the field, that you're just playing in their hands underneath.
Syracuse was one short defensively, and a timeout called by Dino Babers from the sideline. They had 12 on the field. They ran 2 off, down to 10. They drop 2 if they lose. What happens to UCF? That ball stripped away from Anthony Brown. That looks like a loose ball. Picked up for the moment by Alton Robinson. He lost it. A further scramble for it. And Syracuse eventually ends up with it anyway. A takeaway by the Syracuse defense. Alton Robinson picked it up for a moment, tried to run with it. He lost it. And finally, Kylan Whitner tracked it down. 3rd turnover for Boston College.
Yeah, and it was Alton that gets to that football before the hand goes forward. A wonderful job by Alton. We've not called his name an awful lot, but that now the 10th sack this season for Mr. Robinson. And that may just do it. A group that's taken the ball away all season long. A group that has been fantastic on 3rd down all season long. And a group that desperately needed their number 2 back in the fold. And with him, shows why they've won 9 games. And really, you look back on their season, 2 fourth-quarter leads lost at Clemson and versus Pitt, and who knows where this Syracuse team would be.
A yard for Dante Strickland.
And you also wondered after a couple really tough defeats a week ago for Whitner and crew against Notre Dame, where they just could not match up physically. And kudos to the Fighting Irish, who just really, were the more veteran team who stomped on Syracuse in Yankee Stadium. And could they have the resolve to come back? Would they? A team that's not been in this spot, not been ranked for 17 years. And I think to come back from the very beginning of this game, play more physical than Boston College, execute, and ultimately do the right things defensively. Take it away and get off the field on 3rd down. That being the huge difference this afternoon.
Strickland about 5 yards short of a 1st down. Sports Center tonight after Utah State, Fresno State. Here on ESPN. Michael Eaves, Kevin Connors will have a reaction from the 115th meeting between Michigan and Ohio State. Doesn't look like it's going to be a happy reaction for Wolverine fans. The Iron Bowl will be recapped. Heather Dinich breaks down the college football playoff scenarios. Sports Center after college football on ESPN and anywhere on the ESPN app later on tonight. Third down and 5 for a Syracuse offense that is 11 of 18 on 3rd down. And Dungey is just going to throw this one away.
He's got a little Phillip Rivers to him, doesn't he? He doesn't mind talking a little bit. Doesn't mind wearing a lot of his emotion out there. I think his team feeds off this. His team really in all 3 phases. And when you are as physical as he is, you back up a lot of that conversation.
And on 4th and 5 at the very least, I'm not sure Syracuse will snap the ball, but they've gotten BC in spots like this to jump. Is this just another hard count? Up by 3 scores. Well, BC jumps again. Can't make it up. If they jump in the neutral zone and then Syracuse flinches, this penalty can and probably will be against Boston College. And this would give Syracuse a 1st down. Let's see what they come up with.
Offside. Defense number 96. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
And Jim, what is the call there? There's got to be instantaneous reaction by the offense as a defender jumps into the neutral zone.
If he jumps in the gap, it affects either party to each side. If either one moves, it's a defensive foul. If it's head up, it's the 1 and the 2 to each side.
This is now the 3rd occasion in these 4th downs. And if you're Ray Smith, you're a senior, you're not a freshman. That's not the first time this afternoon either. Give an awful lot of credit to the hard count and I think the variance in that cadence, be it the snap or the voice of Syracuse today.
Strickland for 3 yards.
But those are the plays that will just drive Steve Adazio and the staff. I mean, crazy. This is the year for Boston College with 4 senior offensive linemen, with 3 senior defensive linemen, a couple of which are going to play in the NFL. And those are the decisions. And I don't think you can say you're too emotional this afternoon on senior day. It is just the level of execution that the guys in orange have done throughout.
And this will be a very disappointing way for Boston College to end their season. It'll be 3 straight losses. Clemson, Florida State, and Syracuse to end a season where at one point they were 7-2. Dungey out to Custis. He stepped out of bounds. So that, at least for the moment, will stop the clock, and we'll go back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Updating you on the Michigan and Ohio State. The game here is Shea Patterson goes to Nico Collins. Nice catch there. So the Wolverines showing some fight. They're down by 16 early in the 4th. Bob, back to you.
Well, Michigan has that at a 2-possession game early in the 4th. They're going to need some 2-point conversions potentially, and they have to pitch a defensive shutout the rest of the way, but it's not over yet between the Wolverines and Buckeyes.
If you watch that Buckeyes defense this season, they are more than susceptible to the big plays.
Play clock winds all the way down. Syracuse takes a timeout. On ABC, Notre Dame looking for an undefeated season as they'll take on their old rivals USC at the Coliseum.
That may save Mr. Helton's job if USC gets that done, and I have a hard time imagining seeing it.
Quarterback run for Dungey on 3rd down and long. And he picks up a yard. That'll take us down to 4:27 to go, and is Boston College going to spend a timeout here? As they're about to get the ball back, you would think, on 4th and 11. Although 2 hard counts here, and if BC jumps, could make things interesting. Let's go back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Update once again on the game. Michigan and Ohio State, just when the Wolverines show a little bit of fight. Look at Paris Campbell just flying down the sideline. 78 yards, the longest rush by an Ohio State player versus Michigan ever. 48-25, the Buckeyes. 14 minutes left in the 4th quarter play. And coming up next here, we got Gerald Willis and the Miami Hurricanes taking on the Pitt Panthers, a little ACC football. The 2nd game of our quadruple header. Bob Wischusen, back to you, sir.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. Here with Brock Eward, and Ohio State goes from a game where they look beat against Maryland to now making an argument for the college football playoff. BC jumps again, and Dungey has a free play again. That's intercepted, but it doesn't matter as Hamp Cheevers steps out of bounds with the football. Boston College on 4th down jumps in the neutral zone. Ray Smith again.
I think if they jump a 5th time, Adazio may just jump off the sidelines. He just may jump out in that defensive huddle. I mean, this is an O-line guy. This is a line of scrimmage guy. There you see Coach Campanelli as well. I mean, this is getting to the point where you also just wonder if there is something in their call, right? If Syracuse knows some of Boston College's move calls or one of their things, I'm sure this is a little bit of the discussion. I mean, Ray has played a ton of ball for 4 years here at Boston College. I don't know why in the world, even here again on 4th and 11, you are that antsy.
If only the officiating crew were as antsy.
During the play, offside defense, number 96, that penalties decline. Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 36, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So you don't even need.
After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 2, 15-yard penalty, remains first down Syracuse.
You got all that, Bob?
That's multiple 15-yard fouls, even after Ray Smith jumped in the neutral zone.
It really is hard to fathom.
Yeah, Dungey should be ejected from the game because that's his second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. He had one in the first half. I'm not sure if the officials remember that or it was documented the way that it should be.
They've had a lot of jump offsides to deal with, Bob. That's now the 4th.
And maybe that's something that's being communicated down from the replay booth, but no one has told Dungey that his afternoon should be over. Academic at this point, of course, as Syracuse has a first down and a 3-touchdown lead. And they'll hand it off to Jarvion Howard. We've got Jim Blackwood, our officiating expert, here in the booth. And Jim, whose responsibility is it to be aware that that's the second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Eric Dungey? Who documents that should be, if not the official himself, letting him know?
All 8 officials should document every time there's an unsportsmanlike call, so that one knows if the other forgets.
And if that's his second, he should be done for the afternoon.
That is correct.
So we are 0 for 8 on the field in terms of the officiating crew knowing whether or not Eric Dungey should still be in the game. Jarvion Howard runs left. And we might be getting word that the last unsportsmanlike conduct penalty has now been changed to Dante Strickland, not Eric Dungey. So the number 2 that they announced has now been changed to number 4. And it's right there. So it wasn't Dungey that actually had the unsportsmanlike conduct foul, in spite of the fact that that was what was announced to the crowd.
Bob, you did an excellent job of explaining that.
Are you still with me?
Well, I'm a little concerned at the 4. No, I'm a little concerned at the 4 offsides penalties on 4th down by your Eagles. I'm a little concerned as a graduate, as you are, of this fine institution, the Ivy League of the ACC, I have been told.
You say that with no sarcasm in your voice at all.
No, not at all.
I have been told.
Maybe it's a Syracuse. Syracuse is that school. Who knows?
Which team has played smarter today?
The one with a whole lot more points. Softly good win for them. I mean, this is a really big, after again that just physical beating a week ago, to bounce back in this way as a crew and really dominate this game throughout.
Howard for about 2 yards, and it's 4th down again. And Boston College will spend their final timeout, trying to save a little bit of time for their offense if they can get their offense back on the field.
And Ray, you line up at linebacker on this one. So if you jump, you will not jump into the neutral zone. That poor guy on a senior day, unfortunately, and give credit to Syracuse. And I really do think that that is a byproduct of them getting after those guys at the line of scrimmage. And those defenders knowing that they've got to get off on the count, get off on the snap when you're facing that quarterback who's been awfully tough to deal with.
Fourth and 8, and the Syracuse offense is still on the field. And will this be yet another hard count?
Yes.
Will they snap the ball?
This will be another hard count.
Dungey under center. And they will snap the ball. And Dungey on a keeper will go down as he's brought down by Brandon Barlow. So BC gets the football back on downs. 3 scores in the hole with 3:18 to go. Well, we'll see how this game finishes. but the wide angle lens view that can't be lost for that head coach and that quarterback to punctuate their season with this win. 9-3 for the first time since 2001. This was a team that was picked preseason to finish last in the Atlantic Division of the ACC, and they're about to finish in second place. Double clutch to Tommy Sweeney from Anthony Brown. And Sweeney's to midfield. Picks up 13.
Back-to-back 4-win seasons, and a number of those games over the last few years have been highly contested. Like the awfully big win a season ago against Clemson at home. And this year they got over the hump. This year they were the team that won many of those games. I think their physical nature a big part of it.
An interception dropped right into the hands of Shaeen Cullen as he was back in zone but couldn't hold on. And that would have been his first career interception.
Would have been the 30th takeaway for this crew on the season as well.
Brown bobbled and dropped by Michael Walker. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
I'll be curious to watch this quarterback battle next year, because I think Anthony Brown and E.J. Perry, his backup. E.J. reminds me a lot of an Eric Dungey on the other side, of just a very physical kid, a very gifted kid, very tough kid. I think you're going to see a very contested battle this spring between those two guys to see who's going to be the one to elevate this crew another level next year.
In stride, it's Walker, and he is planted but holds on to the football for a first down. Paid the price as he was hit hard by Trill Williams, but he's got 20 yards.
That freshman is willing to stick his nose in there, and Michael Walker, there will be no question about whether he is willing to run across the middle of the field in this, his final game in this stadium.
Brown finds Walker again to the 18-yard line. And that is good enough for another BC first down.
And BC will return a few linemen. Yes, they lose 4 starters. They've got a few returners. They're going to bring back an A.J. Dillon, who really is their Eric Dungey. I mean, they have built their program around that run game and around his physical presence. And I hope for that kid he can get healthy by bowl game and certainly into his junior season as well.
There's an interception, jumping the route, Andre Cisco, his 7th of the season. Boy, you can only throw that flat route to the far side of the field so often before at some point a defender's going to jump it, and Cisco just did.
Yeah, we got all these fun game notes and stats every week, and I'll tell you, by the end of the year, who you are as a team tends to typically show up. It's showing up in Columbus this afternoon as Ohio State's an unbelievably explosive team, and they're finding ways to do it against Michigan. The Syracuse team that sacks the quarterback, that gets after them, that takes the ball away. That now the 4th of the day and the 30th of the season. And then ultimately an Eric Dungey that has been one of the most prolific players in the history of this conference. Top 10 in yards and total offense and touchdowns. Was just a guy that, in Steve Adazio's words to us yesterday, just takes your heart away.
False start, offense number 89, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's a first. A false start penalty and victory formation.
I will be very curious to follow Eric Dungey. I don't think this game and his bowl game will be the last. This NFL and Taysom Hill is a perfect example down with the New Orleans Saints, as more of these offenses are getting more innovative and just want to find guys that love ball, that elevate teammates, that maybe don't do it in the way that was always done decades ago. But when you're just a baller and a playmaker and one tough dude, and you've brought this program their 9th win, right? Something that matches a mark that's only been beaten by the 87 team that was undefeated. And then you get a chance to get to number 10 in that bowl game. That says something to those evaluators at the next level.
We talked to Mike Leach about Gardner Minshew last week and asked him, along those same lines, the most misunderstood thing about the air raid system. And all of these offshoots of that DNA that have always been thought of as systems in college football, but not something that you would see in the NFL. And he said the biggest misconception Look at the Super Bowl last year. It was the air raid Super Bowl.
Yep.
You can say whatever you want about how the NFL guys sometimes look down their nose at the air raid quarterbacks or at air raid systems in college. That's just a system guy, but just look at what the Patriots and Eagles ran against one another last year in the Super Bowl. They basically ran a lot of air raid stuff. And now those kinds of quarterbacks are being given an opportunity to play in the league.
And look at the difference this kid makes 1 week to the next. Knocked out of that game, carried out of the stadium at Yankee Stadium a week ago. Question of whether he would be able to even come back this week. And frankly, I think a lot of us felt he couldn't. And Steve Adazio sure wished he wouldn't see, and he's not going to have to see any more Eric Dungey in this division of the ACC. Dino's going to miss him because that kid's got the heart of a warrior, and it was on full display today.
A second-place finish in the ACC Atlantic and a 9-win season for a Syracuse that was picked to finish last. That's a tough way to end senior day for Zach Allen, limping off the field as Syracuse wins it by 3 scores here at Alumni Stadium. For Allison Williams and Brock Ewart, I'm Bob Wischusen. A 21-point win for the